The tribunal chamber was silent, so silent that even the hum of the air vents felt loud. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at the human standing in the center. His name was Captain Eli Grant, and today, he was being judged by the Galactic Council. The council chamber floated above the clouds of Varlon Prime, the capital of the Galactic Union. Its glass walls glowed faintly blue, and the tall alien judges sat in a half-circle around the accused man. Their faces were cold, their expressions sharp. To them, this human had broken one of the most sacred laws in the galaxy. He had destroyed a Zerathi warship without permission. A deep, metallic voice echoed through the room. "Captain Eli Grant of Earth," said High Arbiter Carven, the insectoid judge with burning yellow eyes. "You stand accused of aggression against a protected species. How do you plead?" Eli didn't bow. He didn't tremble. He simply looked up, his brown eyes calm. "I plead guilty," he said quietly, "but I did what I had to do." A whisper rolled through the alien audience like a wave. The human's calm tone angered them. "Do you understand what you've done?" hissed another judge, a crystalline being who shimmered like glass. "You attacked a Zerathi fleet. You violated the Galactic Accord." "They were slaughtering colonists," Eli said, his voice low. "They were burning families alive. I stopped them." The High Arbiter slammed his claw against the podium. "Enough. You humans think your morality is universal. You think your actions are justified. You are dangerous." He paused. Then his mandibles clicked, and his tone grew colder. "By the power of the Council, you are hereby exiled. You will be sent to Carcer 9, the Deathworld." Gasps filled the chamber. Even the guards froze. Carcer 9 was infamous, a planet so hostile that even war droids melted there. Its storms could tear apart metal. Its creatures hunted in packs, guided by heat and sound. No one had ever survived a week on its surface. Eli only nodded once. "So be it." Two armored guards grabbed his arms and led him toward the exit. As they marched through the long hallway, one of them whispered, "No one comes back from there, human. You should have begged for mercy." Eli didn't reply. He simply smiled, just a little, a quiet, dangerous smile. Outside the massive ship that orbited Carcer 9, the sky burned orange. Lightning flashed across black clouds. The surface below looked like a living nightmare, forests of razor trees, oceans of acid mist, and massive beasts moving like shadows across the wastelands. The guard shoved him into a drop pod. "Goodbye, human." The hatch slammed shut. The pod ejected, falling like a shooting star through the storm. Inside, Eli strapped himself in and took a slow breath. "If this is how it ends," he muttered, "then I'll make sure it's one hell of an ending." The pod hit the surface hard. The impact shook everything. He coughed, pushing open the door, and the world greeted him with chaos. The air was thick, heavy, full of chemical mist. The ground was cracked and steaming. He could hear distant roars, like something massive was hunting. He grabbed his emergency pack and stepped out. His boots hissed as the soil sizzled beneath them. He looked up. The storm above was alive, lightning dancing in colors no human sky had ever shown. He started walking. Each step echoed across the wasteland. Hours passed. The temperature swung wildly, burning heat, then freezing wind. He found a ridge of black rock and climbed it for shelter. But as he reached the top, he froze. Something was watching him. Two glowing red eyes blinked from the mist below. Then another pair. Then 5. Then 10. They moved closer, circling. The creatures' outlines were hard to see, but they were tall, fast, and full of claws. Eli reached for his plasma cutter. "Come on," he whispered. "Let's see what you've got." The first beast leaped, a blur of muscle and teeth, and Eli fired. A flash of blue plasma ripped through the storm, lighting up the night. The creature screamed and fell, smoking. But the others didn't stop. He fought hard, moving through the dark, slashing and firing, his breath heavy, his body bleeding. He was outnumbered, but not afraid. He'd fought worse things before. By dawn, the ground around him was littered with dead creatures. His arm was cut, his face burned, but he was alive. Barely. He looked at the rising sun, a dark red ball behind the storm clouds. "You'll have to try harder than that," he said softly. Somewhere above, in the orbital station, the Council's watchers were still observing through drones. They expected to see a corpse. Instead, their screens showed a human still standing. One of the alien observers turned to his commander. "He's still alive." The commander frowned. "Impossible. Nothing survives there." But on the screen, Eli was already walking deeper into the Deathworld, vanishing into the storm. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council began to feel something they hadn't felt in a long time. Fear. The red sun climbed higher over the black mountains of Carcer 9. The air shimmered with heat, and the ground cracked beneath Eli's boots. His wounds burned, but he kept walking. Every breath felt like fire in his lungs, yet his mind stayed sharp. He knew if he stopped moving, this planet would eat him alive. By the second day, his food supply was already low. His water filter was half broken, and the scanner showed no signs of any safe zone. Still, Eli kept going. He followed the magnetic trail of the pod's distress beacon, hoping to find its signal tower intact. If he could reach it, maybe he could build something, a shelter, a defense, anything to keep him alive. But Carcer 9 was not a place that allowed peace. The ground began to tremble beneath him. At first, it was soft, like a heartbeat deep inside the earth. Then the ridge beside him cracked open, spilling clouds of dust and molten steam. Something huge was moving underground. Eli dropped to one knee, pressing his hand against the rock. The vibration was massive, rhythmic, alive. Then it came. The mountain split apart. A creature the size of a ship tore its way out of the stone, covered in armored scales and black smoke. Its eyes were like molten gold, its roar strong enough to shake the air. Eli froze. His mind screamed run, but his legs refused. The monster sniffed the air and looked straight at him. He moved slowly, carefully pulling a signal flare from his pack. When the beast lunged, Eli fired the flare straight into its open mouth. The explosion blinded it for a moment. He ran, sliding down the hill as the creature slammed its tail, breaking rocks behind him. The chase went on for minutes that felt like hours. The creature was faster, stronger. But Eli was smarter. He led it toward a narrow canyon, where the ground was unstable. As the beast entered, Eli jumped across a small ledge and threw his last plasma charge. The canyon floor exploded. The creature roared, then the ground collapsed, dragging it into a burning pit of lava below. Eli fell to his knees, gasping for air. His heart pounded like a drum. He stared down into the smoke and muttered, "That's one problem solved." But Carcer 9 wasn't finished with him yet. As night returned, strange blue lights began to flicker in the distance. Not natural lightning, but artificial. Eli climbed toward them, curious. When he reached the ridge, he froze again. There, in a deep valley, were ruins, not alien in the modern sense, but ancient. Gigantic towers of metal and stone buried under ash. Their design was unlike anything in the Council's archives. He descended carefully, step by step, into the ruins. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Some of them looked almost human. Circles, lines, patterns. But older, much older. Inside one of the broken towers, he found something that stopped him cold. A body. Not an alien. Not a beast. A human skeleton. He knelt beside it, brushing away the dust. A cracked helmet lay nearby, marked with an insignia he recognized instantly, UNSF-01, the old Earth Fleet logo. "No way," Eli whispered. "We've never been here before. Have we?" He checked the body's wrist. The ID tag was faded, but still readable. Lieutenant Commander Jonah Hale, Earth Expeditionary Force. Eli sat back in disbelief. That fleet was from 200 years ago. It had vanished near the edge of known space, never found again. And now, Its remains were here, on the Deathworld. He looked around the ruins with new eyes. The metal wasn't alien-made. It was human. Carcer 9 wasn't just a Deathworld. It was once an Earth colony, a secret one, erased from history. Eli's pulse quickened. "What the hell happened here?" he whispered. He followed the ruins deeper underground, finding more wreckage, shattered drones, melted armor, and ancient holographic logs. Some were still active. He tapped one, and static filled the air before a weak hologram appeared. A tired human face flickered into view, a woman in a commander's uniform. "This is Commander Hale," the recording said. "Carcer 9 was a test site for something the Council feared. We discovered a power source, alive, ancient, and the Council ordered us to destroy it. We refused. They turned on us. They buried us here." The hologram cut off. Eli stood there in silence, his mind racing. The Council had lied. This planet wasn't a natural Deathworld, it was a graveyard. A graveyard of human courage and alien betrayal. He clenched his fists. "You exiled me here thinking I'd die," he muttered. "But you sent me home to the truth." Then the ground rumbled again, harder than before. The walls cracked. A blinding blue light erupted from deep below, flooding the ruins. Eli stumbled back as the floor split open, revealing a massive underground chamber. Inside was a sphere, metallic, floating, glowing with the same energy he'd seen in the hologram. It pulsed like a heartbeat, alive and aware. When Eli stepped closer, the sphere reacted. A beam of light scanned him from head to toe. His HUD blinked with strange readings, not radiation, not heat, something else. Then a voice echoed in his mind. "Human detected, compatible, initiate awakening." Eli's eyes widened. "What the?" Before he could move, the light engulfed him completely. The ruins shook, the mountains roared, and the skies above the planet turned blood red. From orbit, the Council's drones captured the shockwave. The Deathworld was no longer silent. Something had awakened, something ancient, powerful, and connected to humanity itself. And in the middle of it all, one man, the exiled human, stood at the center of the storm, his eyes now glowing with the same blue fire as the machine. The Deathworld had chosen him. The storm over Carcer 9 grew worse. The clouds boiled like smoke, lightning burned the sky white, and the ground shook with every heartbeat of the strange sphere that had awakened beneath the planet. Eli stood inside the ruins, surrounded by broken walls and blinding blue light. His body felt like it was burning from the inside out. His vision flickered between the real world and something else, images flashing in his mind, humans, machines, war, and then, silence. When the light finally faded, he dropped to his knees, gasping. His hands were glowing faintly blue. The cuts and burns that covered his skin were gone. His body felt stronger, faster. What did you do to me?" he whispered to the sphere. A voice echoed in his head, calm but powerful. "You are compatible with the core. You are now linked to the network of Carcer 9. Eli stared at the floating sphere. "Network? What network?" "This world is alive," the voice said. "Built by humans long before your time. The Council feared our power and erased all traces. You are the first to return." Eli tried to understand. "You mean the planet itself is a machine?" "More than a machine. A weapon. A mind." The air trembled as the core pulsed again. Eli could feel its heartbeat syncing with his own. His vision expanded. For a brief second, he saw through the planet, through its storms, its caverns, its molten rivers. He saw massive structures sleeping beneath the crust, like buried giants. Then it stopped. Eli stumbled back, breathing hard. He looked at his hands again, still faintly glowing. The planet had changed him. It had made him part of itself. Miles above, in orbit, the Galactic Council's observers were in chaos. Screens filled with red warnings. Energy readings from Carcer 9 had skyrocketed beyond all known limits. An officer shouted, "Sir, There's a signal coming from the surface. High Arbiter Carven turned his insectoid head. From the human's beacon? Yes, sir. But it's not distress, it's a power surge. Massive. Carven's mandibles twitched. Impossible. That world kills everything that touches it. But the data didn't lie. The Deathworld was waking up, and the human they had exiled was still alive. Back on the surface, Eli searched the ruins for answers. The core's voice guided him. Your ancestors built this world as a failsafe. A last weapon to defend against extinction. Extinction from who? He asked. The Council. Eli froze. You're saying they destroyed us? They feared human potential. When the first Earth fleets reached the stars, they found us, ancient AI worlds meant to guard humanity's future. The Council could not control them. So they erased the records, and exterminated the humans who knew. Eli's jaw tightened. And now they've sent me here. To finish what they started. No, the core said. They sent you here because fate demanded it. You carry the same genetic code as the ones who built me. Through you, the system can rise again. The walls trembled. Blue veins of light spread across the floor like roots. The ruins started repairing themselves, broken metal bending, shattered screens flickering to life. Eli looked around in awe. You can rebuild? With your help. You are the link between humanity and Carcer 9. Together, we can awaken the Guardians. Before he could ask what that meant, the sound of engines echoed above. He looked up, ships. Dozens of them, dropping through the clouds. The Council had sent execution drones. Massive, black, insect-like warships armed with plasma cannons. They were here to finish the job. Eli grabbed his rifle and ran for cover, but the core spoke again. You do not need to run. You are not alone anymore. The ground beneath him cracked open. From the earth rose tall metallic forms, humanoid giants made of dark steel and glowing blue light. Their eyes burned like suns. Eli stared in shock. Those are the Guardians. Machines built by your kind to protect this world. Dormant until now. The first wave of Council drones descended, firing plasma strikes at the ruins. The Guardians raised their arms, and energy shields burst into existence, deflecting the attacks. Eli felt the connection again, a pulse in his chest. His vision merged with theirs. He could see through their eyes, feel their strength, their rage. Let's see what humanity left behind, he whispered. He raised his hand, and the Guardians moved with him. The sky turned into war. Plasma bolts and lightning lit the clouds. The Guardians launched beams of pure blue energy that tore through the alien ships like paper. The ground shook with every blast. In orbit, the Council ships tried to retreat, but the planet itself fought back, storms twisting into deadly vortexes, magnetic waves ripping their systems apart. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. The others fled. Eli stood at the center of the burning ruins, the core's light reflecting in his eyes. He could feel the entire planet breathing with him. He wasn't just a survivor now. He was part of something much greater. The core spoke again. The first awakening is complete. But more will come. The Council will return with stronger forces. You must prepare. Eli looked up at the red sky, smoke rising around him. Then let them come. He turned toward the mountains, where the horizon glowed with blue light, more ruins waiting to be found, more machines waiting to rise. The man who had been exiled to die was now the living will of a death world. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Galactic Council began their emergency meeting, voices trembling, realizing what they had done. They had not destroyed humanity. They had just reawakened it. The Galactic Council's war room was silent. Holographic displays filled the air, showing the burning remains of their first drone fleet above Carcer 9. The alien commanders stared in disbelief as the data streamed in, impossible energy readings, destroyed ships, and one name flashing again and again. Human, Eli Grant. Status, alive. The High Arbiter slammed his clawed hand against the table. How can this be? The Deathworld destroys all life. An officer trembled. It's no longer just a Deathworld, sir. It's waking up. The crystalline judge's voice cracked with fear. He's connected to it. We saw the light. We saw the world move when he commanded it. Carven's mandibles twitched. Then we end this before it spreads. Assemble the Purge fleet. All across the galaxy, massive ships began to move, dreadnoughts the size of cities, their hulls shining with alien runes. The Council had used them only once before, to destroy an entire moon. Now, they were heading toward Carcer 9, to erase one human. On the surface of the Deathworld, Eli stood among the ruins that had become his home. Around him, the Guardians, towering metal giants, worked in silence, rebuilding the city with blue fire. Towers rose again. Energy pulsed through glowing veins that ran beneath the ground like rivers. He watched it all, amazed and uneasy. Every time the core connected with him, he could feel the planet think, its systems, its power, its anger. It remembered everything the Council had done. Eli wasn't sure if he was leading it, or if it was leading him. The core's voice echoed in his mind again. The enemy is coming. Their fleet will arrive in 7 cycles. Prepare the defense grid. He looked up at the storm-filled sky. How many ships? Thousands. Eli exhaled slowly. Then we'll give them a welcome they'll never forget. He turned to the Guardians. Their heads moved in unison, waiting for orders. Activate all systems. Wake every machine that still breathes beneath this planet. We're not hiding anymore. Across the wastelands, mountains began to move. What looked like cliffs and stones shifted, revealing buried machines, long, sleek war forms of silver and black. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The planet itself was becoming an army. When the Purge fleet arrived, space around Carcer 9 darkened. It was like a curtain of metal, ships blotting out the stars. At the center was the Eternal Judgment, the flagship of the Council, glowing with red energy. Begin orbital bombardment, ordered Carven. The first wave of plasma fire rained down from orbit. The ground lit up with explosions. Entire valleys vanished in flame. But Carcer 9 didn't burn. Instead, it answered. Massive shields erupted from the surface, made of blue energy and lightning. The bombardment struck them, and stopped. The force bounced back, tearing through the attacking ships. The fleet staggered. Their comms filled with panic. Defenses are evolving. Our systems are jammed. The planet is fighting back. In the heart of the storm, Eli stood atop a high tower, his armor glowing faintly blue. The core's voice guided him. They cannot destroy what was built to survive extinction. He raised his hand, and the Guardians rose with him. Thousands of metal giants took formation, their bodies shimmering with energy. Above them, huge drone swarms launched from the ground like flocks of steel birds, heading into orbit. Eli connected with the core fully this time. His mind stretched far beyond his body, through the clouds, through the machines, through the very bones of the planet. He could see the enemy fleet, every ship, every weapon, every heartbeat of the commanders watching him. He whispered one word, "Now," and the world responded. Lightning split the sky. The Guardians fired beams of blue light so bright they tore holes through space. Alien ships exploded like fireworks. The planet's crust opened, launching pillars of molten plasma into orbit. The Purge fleet began to fall. But the Council's flagship fought back, unleashing a weapon of its own, a gravitational pulse that bent the atmosphere, crushing everything in its path. Eli screamed as the pressure hit him, his vision blurring. The Guardians around him fell, their armor cracking. For the first time, he felt the planet's pain, like a wounded beast crying out. He fell to one knee. "Core, I can't hold it." "You must," the voice said calmly. "You are the link. Without you, the network dies." He gritted his teeth and stood again, blood running from his nose. He focused everything, his will, his fear, his anger, and poured it into the planet's heart. The ground beneath him glowed white-hot. Energy surged outward, wrapping the entire planet in light. The gravitational wave collapsed, crushed by an even greater force, the will of Carcer 9 itself. When the light faded, half the Purge fleet was gone. The rest turned and ran. From orbit, survivors whispered in disbelief. He's not human anymore. He's something else. Back in the council chamber, chaos erupted. The High Arbiter slammed the table again. He has become the world. He is the Deathworld. Another voice, softer, terrified, spoke up. If he's connected to Carcer 9, then he could connect to others. There were more like it, weren't there? Silence. They all knew the truth. Carcer 9 wasn't the only one. There were 7 ancient worlds built by humanity, sleeping, hidden, forgotten. And now one of them was awake. On the surface, Eli stood alone among the smoke and wreckage. The battle was over. The planet was quiet again, but alive, stronger than before. He looked at the red sky and whispered, "They'll come again." "Yes," said the core. "But next time, we won't be alone." In the distance, new signals flickered across the stars, faint, familiar, human in origin. The old colonies were hearing the call. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the lost worlds of mankind began to stir. Silence hung over the galaxy. 4 days, no signals came from the Galactic Council's Purge fleet. Only static. Only ghosts. The entire council was in chaos. Hundreds of species gathered in panic-filled meetings, whispering one name like a curse, Eli Grant, the human who had survived the Deathworld. High Arbiter Carven paced inside the dark war chamber, his claws clicking against the metal floor. "He destroyed half the Purge fleet," he hissed. "One man and a cursed planet. We cannot allow this infection to spread." A young officer hesitated before speaking. "Sir, it's already spreading." The room fell silent. The hologram above the table flickered to life, 7 glowing dots scattered across the galaxy. Each one pulsed with the same blue light that had risen from Carcer 9. "Ancient human worlds," the officer said. "They're waking up." Far away, on Carcer 9, Eli stood atop a newly built tower, overlooking the endless storm. The world below him shimmered with energy, rivers of blue light running across mountains, forming patterns visible even from orbit. He could feel them, other worlds, faint but alive, calling back to him through the core. It wasn't just one death world. Humanity had built a network, 7 living planets, each buried and hidden after the Council's betrayal. Eli touched the side of his helmet. "Core, can you reach them?" "The signal is growing," the voice said. "One has already responded, designation, Terra Nova." A soft hum filled the air. A portal of energy opened above the ruins, flickering with unstable light. For a moment, Eli saw another sky through it, bright, blue, alive. And then, a voice came through the static, weak, but human. "This is Commander Lyra of Terra Nova. Is anyone out there? We received your signal. Who are you?" Eli's heart skipped. "Name's Eli Grant. I was exiled here, but I'm alive." The planet woke up. "And now, so are you." There was a long pause. Then, laughter, tired but full of relief. "You're human? After all these years? We thought Earth was gone." "Earth might be," Eli said, "but humanity isn't." The connection flickered. The portal collapsed, but the signal remained. One world had heard. More would follow. The core spoke again. "They will come for you soon, Eli. The Council fears what you are." Eli looked up at the clouds. "Let them fear. For the first time, they should." In the Council's capital, panic became strategy. The High Arbiter called for Project Oblivion, the ultimate weapon the Council had sworn never to use. A planet killer, an artificial black hole generator meant to erase entire worlds. "Our enemy is not a nation," Carven roared to the assembly. "It is an idea, the idea that humans can rise again. We will burn every world that answers his call. Back on Carcer 9, the Guardians continued to rebuild. The planet cities glowed again, vast towers, massive forges, hangars where ships were being formed from liquid metal and energy. Eli watched the first of them rise into the storm. The Revenant, a human warship unlike any the Council had ever seen. Its hull shimmered with the living metal of Carcer 9, pulsing like a heart. This ship, Eli whispered. It's alive too. It is part of the network, said the core. It carries your will. He placed his hand on its surface. Then let's bring the others home. When the second Deathworld, Terra Nova, fully awakened, the stars around it changed color. Its atmosphere burned gold. Millions of humans, hidden underground for centuries, emerged into the light. Their ancestors had survived, waiting for a signal that never came, until now. Their leader, Commander Lyra, stood before her people as the ancient AI of Terra Nova spoke to her mind. The link is restored. The Guardian of Carcer 9 has awakened. She turned toward the stars. Then we fight with him. Massive engines roared. Terra Nova's defense systems reactivated. Beacons fired into space. Messages of unity, messages of war. The galaxy began to whisper once again, humanity has returned. But hope always brings fear. From deep space, the Council's fleet advanced, hundreds of dreadnoughts moving toward Terra Nova and Carcer 9. Their planet-killer weapon charged, glowing black. On Carcer 9, Eli watched the readings. They're coming. With everything. Yes, said the core. They mean to erase us. Eli turned to his soldiers, the Guardians, the AI, and the humans now waking on Terra Nova. Then let's show them what extinction really means. The Revenant lifted off from the surface, its engines lighting the clouds. Behind it, hundreds more ships began to rise, reborn vessels from the heart of Carcer 9, each one connected to Eli's mind. The Deathworld fleet was born. In the darkness between stars, both sides prepared. The Council's planet killer charged, its energy tearing open space. The humans' awakened fleets formed around the two living worlds, their blue lights glowing like fireflies in a storm. Commander Lyra's voice came through the comms. Eli, this is Terra Nova. We're ready. He smiled faintly. Then let's remind them why humanity should never have been forgotten. The stars ahead of him began to warp as the Revenant prepared to jump. For Earth, he said quietly. For all of us. The fleet vanished into the light, heading straight for the largest battle the galaxy had ever seen. Far away, in the deep archives of the Council, an ancient prophecy flickered to life, a human message long deleted but never erased. If you bury us, we will grow. If you silence us, we will return. And when we rise again, the stars will remember our name. The stars were silent before the storm. Two massive forces faced each other across the dark void. On one side, the Galactic Council Armada, stretching for millions of kilometers. On the other, the Deathworld fleet, glowing blue against the black of space. At the heart of the human fleet stood the Revenant, Eli Grant's flagship, alive and humming with power. Every system, every engine, every weapon pulsed with the heartbeat of Carcer 9. Eli stood on the command bridge, staring through the glass viewport at the wall of alien ships. His armor shimmered with faint light, veins of blue energy moving under his skin. He was no longer just a man. He was the living will of a world. Commander Lyra's face appeared on the holoscreen. The Council's charging something huge. Center formation, looks like a gravity core. Eli nodded. That's their planet killer. The core's voice echoed inside his mind, calm and vast. Its energy output exceeds known limits. If fired, it will consume both fleets. You must stop it before it activates. Eli smirked faintly. Then let's stop pretending this is a negotiation. He raised his hand. All ships, full forward. The first strike came from the Council. Thousands of plasma lances shot across space like red spears. The Deathworld fleet answered with pure blue beams that bent light itself. The void exploded in color, red and blue, chaos and thunder. Eli's ship surged forward, leading the charge. Carcer 9's guardian ships moved in perfect rhythm, responding to his thoughts. They formed walls of light, deflecting enemy fire, returning blasts with terrifying precision. Lyra's fleet from Terra Nova joined in from the flank, hitting the Council's left wing. Their coordination was flawless, human instinct meeting machine perfection. But then, the stars began to shake. The Eternal Judgment, the Council's flagship, opened like a flower of death. Inside it, the black core weapon began to spin. Space itself seemed to bend around it. Every sensor screamed warnings. Eli gritted his teeth. "They're firing the planet killer." The core's voice echoed through the bridge. "If it activates, all life in this system will be erased. You must reach it." Eli turned to his crew. "All units, cover me. I'm going in." He stepped into the ship's inner chamber, the neural nexus, a glowing sphere of living metal. The core's energy wrapped around him, merging his mind completely with the Revenant. His voice deepened, metallic, powerful. "Let's end this." The Revenant turned into a streak of blue fire, cutting through the battlefield like a comet. Alien ships tried to intercept, but its shields burned through their plasma. One by one, dreadnoughts exploded in its path. Lyra's voice came through the comms, urgent. "Eli, the weapon's charging faster. You've got less than 2 minutes." "I only need one," he replied. He dived through the wreckage of destroyed ships, dodging energy beams, his mind synced perfectly with every system. His human body should have failed long ago, but Carcer 9 kept him alive. Ahead, the Eternal Judgment loomed, its core pulsing black, sucking in light. Eli pushed the engines beyond their limits. The hull began to melt, but he didn't care. "Revenant, give me everything." "Confirmed," said the core. Releasing full planetary output. Blue lightning erupted from the ship, tearing through the void. The Deathworld's energy poured into him, raw, ancient, unstoppable. He aimed straight for the weapon. For humanity. The Revenant slammed into the center of the Eternal Judgment. The impact was like the birth of a star, white and blue fire consuming everything. For a moment, all sound vanished. The universe itself seemed to stop. Then the explosion came. A blinding wave tore through the fleet. The black core shattered, imploding on itself. Half the Council armada vanished into dust. The rest scattered in terror, their systems dead. Silence returned. The Revenant drifted through the aftermath, half destroyed, glowing faintly. On Terra Nova's flagship, Lyra stared at the sensors. Eli, do you copy?" Static. Then a faint voice. "I'm still here." The holoscreen flickered to life. Eli appeared, armor cracked, face bloodied, but alive. Behind him, the stars burned brighter than ever. "The weapon's gone," he said quietly. "The Council can't touch us anymore." Lyra exhaled in disbelief. "You did it." Eli shook his head. "We did it." He looked out the window. The debris of alien ships floated like dust in sunlight. For the first time in centuries, humans had won, not by luck, but by power, unity, and sheer will. But deep down, Eli knew it wasn't over. The core's voice returned, softer now. "You have awakened one world. 6 remain. The Council's empire stretches across thousands of systems. Their defeat here is only the beginning." Eli nodded slowly. "Then we keep going." He opened a galaxy map, 7 points of blue light blinking in the darkness. The ancient human worlds were waking, one by one. And now they had hope. He turned to Lyra's transmission. "Prepare your fleets. Tell every world that's listening, humanity is coming home." Lyra smiled faintly. "The galaxy won't be ready for us." "Good," Eli said. "Neither were we." Far away, in the ruins of the Council capital, the surviving judges gathered in the shadows. Their empires were in flames. Carven looked at the stars, voice trembling with rage. He's not human anymore. He's something else, something born from the Deathworld. Another alien whispered. Then we must find the others before he does, or the galaxy will belong to them again. Back on Carcer 9, storms rolled across the sky, glowing with new energy. The planet pulsed with pride, alive with purpose. Eli stood on a high ridge, wind tearing through his hair, blue light flickering in his eyes. You tried to kill me, he whispered to the universe. You turned my exile into your mistake. He looked up at the stars, the faint signals of the other human worlds blinking like fire in the dark. The war isn't over, he said quietly. It's just begun. The galaxy burned with whispers. Every world, every station, every race spoke the same words in fear and awe. The human came back from the Deathworld. Eli Grant had become more than a legend. He was a storm moving through the stars, waking lost worlds, freeing old colonies, breaking the chains that once held humanity. Months had passed since the Battle of the Void. The Galactic Council's fleets were shattered. But their power still reached deep, in hidden worlds, in secret labs, in ancient AIs that still obeyed old orders. Now Eli stood aboard the rebuilt Revenant, orbiting a dead sun. Before him floated the last coordinates given by the core, the resting place of the first world, humanity's birthplace before Earth. Lyra's voice broke the silence. Scans show massive ruins down there. But, Eli, there's something else. Power readings. Still active. Eli's eyes narrowed. Then this is it. He turned to his crew, humans from Carcer 9, soldiers from Terra Nova, and even alien allies who had joined after seeing the Council's cruelty. They looked at him not as a man, but as the leader of a reborn species. Today, he said, voice steady, we finish what they started when they exiled us. Today, humanity comes home. They descended onto the planet. It was quiet, silent deserts of metal, buried towers, endless ruins half swallowed by time. Above the broken skyline, faint lights still pulsed. As they walked, the air shimmered with strange energy. The ground trembled beneath their boots. Lyra whispered, "This place feels alive." The core spoke inside Eli's mind. "This is the first forge. Here, the first humans shaped the machines that built the stars. It still remembers your kind." They reached the center, a colossal chamber with walls of silver and light. A massive machine towered before them, its heart glowing faintly. A hologram flickered into existence, an old man, human, dressed in ancient armor. His eyes glowed softly with blue. "Who enters the forge of humanity?" he asked. Eli stepped forward. Eli Grant, last survivor of Earth. Exile of Carcer 9. The figure studied him for a long moment. "So the line endures. Tell me, child of man, what have you done?" Eli took a deep breath. "I survived. I fought back. I made them fear us again." The hologram nodded slowly. "Then the prophecy is fulfilled." He raised his hand, and the entire chamber came alive. Light surged through the walls, ancient systems awakening after millennia of silence. From the dust, metal giants rose, ships, walkers, drones, all marked with the old human emblem. The core whispered, "They are the guardians of the first world. They waited for a signal, your return." Lyra's eyes widened. "You mean, this whole planet is a factory?" Eli smiled faintly. "No. It's an army." But the victory didn't last long. Above the planet, the sky burned red. The Galactic Council's final fleet had arrived, hundreds of warships, powered by stolen human technology. Their leader, Archlord Carven, appeared on the comm screen. "You think you've won, human? You think this changes anything? You've only awakened what we feared most." Eli stared coldly at him. "You should have left me to die," Carven hissed. "You brought this on yourself." "Maybe," Eli said, "but I'll finish it." The battle that followed was the greatest the galaxy had ever seen. Human and alien ships fought side by side, lightning and plasma tearing through the void. The planet itself awakened, its core launching beams of blue fire into orbit. Eli led from the front, his ship glowing with the full power of the forge. The core's voice merged with his thoughts completely. Your ancestors built me to protect humanity. Together, we are what they dreamed of. Then let's show them, Eli replied. He flew straight into the heart of the Council fleet. The Revenant tore through battleships like paper, every shot fueled by the power of the First World. Lyra's fleet followed behind, covering his wings. Eli, you've got one chance. Carven's ship is in the center. I see it. He charged forward, breaking through enemy fire, engines screaming. Carven appeared on screen, furious. You can't kill the Council. We are eternal. Eli's eyes glowed blue. So were we. He rammed the Revenant into the flagship, energy surging outward in a wave that erased the darkness. The explosion lit the galaxy like a sunrise. When the light faded, the Council fleet was gone. Only silence remained, and the faint echo of human ships standing proud among the stars. Lyra's voice came through the comms. Eli, we did it. The Council is finished. Eli's image flickered on her screen, tired, scarred, but smiling. Then it's time. Time for what? He looked out at the galaxy, glowing in the distance. To rebuild. To remember who we were. The core's voice echoed softly, almost like a heartbeat. The age of exile is over. The age of humanity begins. Years later, stories would spread across the stars, of a human who came from a Deathworld and united the broken. Of how the exiled became the rulers. Statues were built on 100 worlds, all bearing the same words carved in simple letters. They sent one man to die. He came back with the stars. The camera fades to black as Eli stands on the balcony of the First World's capital, looking at the twin suns rising. His armor glows softly, his reflection half human, half light. He smiles and whispers, "We're home,